Yo, what's going on, everybody? Sorry, I'm running a little bit late today. I was putting the final touches on today's game for today, but I'm here now, and it is 1:08 p.m. in Crystal Lake, Illinois. It's time for another live stream. Today is Tuesday, August 30th. Not the last day of August, because if I remember the song correctly, August has 31 days in the month. So we've got 2 more days of August, but we're near the end of the month. And because it is a Tuesday, we're going to play a game. Today's game, we'll see if it's any fun. I'm not sure. It sounded really great when I thought about it, and then I started putting it together. I'm like, I'm not sure how fun this is going to be. But what we'll do is I will show you 5 different shoes, and then I will compare them against 5 different things that I frequently run with. And I've weighed the things that I run with, and I've sourced from the internet weights from the shoes that are here. And you have to guess which one's going to weigh more. I'm not sure if this is going to be a fun game or not. It might be really, really boring, but we'll see how it goes. Before we get to that, let's say hi to everyone listening in on the podcast on the audio-only version. I think this is a game that you'll be able to play just fine if you're listening in while you're on the run, and hopefully you enjoy it. And I mean, the run mainly. I'm not sure if you're enjoying the game, like I said, but I think you'll enjoy your run, I hope. And then everyone watches on YouTube later after the fact, welcome to you guys as well. Hopefully you had a nice day out there today. Hopefully you got a run in. You got your work done, and now you're relaxed and not rushed. All right. Let's see who we got in the chat here. We'll say hi to a couple people, and then we'll get started on the game. Midlife Runner is back. He said, Coach, with a KO at the front. He says, Coach, getting excited for Chicago, second ever marathon. What's your favorite part of the course, and do you have any race-specific tips? I appreciate you. My favorite parts of the course, like the first 5K are amazing. Because there's just so many people, there's so many spectators, the energy there is the loudest, and it's like you've been sitting in the crowd for a long time, and now you're finally getting to go, and you're freaking out because you're probably running a little too fast, and there's just a lot of energy and a lot of things happening all at once. It's sensory overload, and it just feels great. So that's probably one of my favorite parts. The second favorite part, I won't get to experience quite the same this year. It's usually right after Lincoln Park. That's where the course used to go by where I used to live. And then I would always see my family 2 times because you go up and you curl back around through Boys Town and then you come back. So my family was very easily able to see me twice in really close succession. And so that was kind of my other favorite part of the course. So I won't have that. So I think my favorite part of the course this year will probably be, the stretch right at the end, coming up Michigan Avenue, right before Mount Roosevelt, that part's a lot of fun because you're seeing people again. And again, the crowds are super intense and you're almost done and it's really loud and it's a lot of fun. So the way beginning and the way end, those are, I guess, my 2 favorite spots. Runner Will says, hello, everyone. Phone is as heavy as in the watch on the GoPro. LOL, hope everyone is having a great day. Yeah, well, you'll have to see. I mixed it up a little bit to make it a little bit more challenging, and I've changed the shoes to hopefully make it really close each time, so it's not obvious which one's going to be the heavier one. So we'll get to it. Eliza says, hello, CoFam. Hope everyone's doing well. Looking forward to making guesses for the game. And the guy behind the guy says, first time in live streams is moving to Europe. Oh, that's cool. Some lovely running in Lausanne so far, although just got the first storming weather today. Did you go there did you go to the meet, the Diamond League? I'd love to go to a Diamond League meet just to kind of get the vibe from it, to get the energy, to see the full stadium. I mean, they had fireworks and stuff, right? Was that at Lausanne? I'm not sure if I'm saying it right either. But Lausanne, the Diamond League meets, they have pyrotechnics at the finish line and stuff. It's pretty intense. It's there's a lot we could do with the stadium that's only designed for a track meet. Let's do those things, and then they execute them. And it's awesome. All right, what's this? Palmy Army Swim. I get it. Palmy Army Swim says, yo, CoFam. What's everyone's worst navigation error? Had a weekend shocker of an extra 17K. That's a long one. That's a very long one. I don't think mine ever get that long. I mean, yeah, I don't think I've ever had a very long one. I just had very nerve-wracking ones. Today I started running with the Coros Pace 2. There's no navigation on it. And I went to a park that I'm not as familiar with. And I didn't get lost, but I may have done one of the loops of this park I meant to do it once. I may have done it 3 times because I couldn't find the right way out of the loop. So there was that. That I mean, today's goal was to get about anywhere between like 7 to 9 miles, and I got almost 9 miles. So it ended up being fine. And I'm doing like laps in this park. There's 2 loops in the park that are connected with like a little adjoining piece. And I was like, oh, I'll do a couple of laps of this. I'll do 1 lap of this, and then a lot of laps up at the top. I did a lot of laps at the bottom instead on accident. So that, it worked out. Nothing like adding an extra 17K. Woo. All right. All right. So let me scroll down a little bit. See if we got anything else going on that I need to, any questions or anything. If anyone has questions, and it's your first time here, welcome. Put a couple of emojis down at the bottom so I can see right before a question, so it'll be easier for me to see. All right. Let's see. The guy behind the guy says, I didn't make it to the full Diamond League meet, but watched the pole vault and a special event downtown. Saw Mono break the meet record. That setup was so incredibly amazing. That's totally cool. It's so awesome. He's such a great vaulter too. Oh man. I wish I could have seen any of that. I've never seen him vault before. So the men's pole vault didn't happen until after I left at World Championships. But did he vault at the World Championship? I'm trying to think. I don't remember. But I didn't get to see it either way. All right. Auto VV wants to know, Michael, what are you most excited about the New York City Marathon weekend? I'm excited to give a lot of high fives along the course. For COVID reasons, I've still been reluctant to do a lot of high fiving, basically touching, thousands of strangers. But I feel like, maybe it'll be time to come back to some more high fives. But not just the high fives, but just feeling that energy, feeling the echo of the crowd noise bouncing off the buildings. That's the energy of the people is what I'm really looking forward to for New York City Marathon weekend. So that's that. And Jamison Murphy says, would you recommend wearing a special insoles for marathons? And what insoles in particular would you recommend? I don't love insoles, aftermarket insoles very much. I've toyed around with some, I had some that were fit for me. I went to Roadrunner Sports, they 3D scan your foot, and they recommend there's 3 different molds that you can, or blanks that you can choose from that have various thicknesses. And then you stand on a thing and it imprints your foot. And then, there's this whole process to make it match your foot. And I just feel one, as someone that reviews shoes, having aftermarket insoles, it makes it really hard to review the shoe itself. So I tend to stay away from them, but I also just don't feel like I've needed them. There's a couple of shoes where I feel help make the shoe feel a little bit better. But for the most part, it just seems I don't know. I don't know if I like this or not. Not all insoles are removable. So you can't, sometimes with the ones that are removable, you take the ones that come with it out, you put your aftermarket ones in, and then if you want to switch, you can switch back and forth. But other shoes, if you've got to tear that out because it's glued down, then you're stuck with that aftermarket insole. So I don't love them. I would say if your healthcare provider or physical therapist is recommending them for you, then I would follow that recommendation. But I don't know. I'm not huge on. I know running retailers have really been pushing that, and it's a big thing for them. But I'm not a huge fan of them. It's just never been for me. All right, let's do one more question. And Andrew Strauss says, "How's the 5K training going? Feeling faster?" I'm feeling faster for sure. I also definitely feel like I'm not in marathon shape. So it's it's weird to feel like I'm not in shape, but also be yeah, well, I've been doing 5K training, so I'm in a different kind of shape right now. But I'm also second guessing how I've kind of abridged the Jack Daniels plans. Cause I basically, he has phases, 1, 2, 3, and 4. I'm focusing mainly on phases 2 and 3. Phase 4 is kind of how to maintain race fitness throughout the course of like a cross country season. So I'm like, that doesn't really apply to me. I only have one race I care about, not 7 or 8. And so phases 2 and 3 are what I'm really focusing on. And I had like 6 weeks to get ready. So I basically said, all right, 3 weeks in phase 2, 3 weeks in phase 3. Phase 2 seems to be mainly a lot of like 5K work and mile pace work, stuff on the track. Phase 3 seems to be a lot of threshold work. Both things I think are important. But I think I came into this training block with a lot of threshold fitness already. And so I wonder if I should have spent more time, like the last 2 weeks would have been better doing a lot more, just like 400s and 200s, rather than for the last 2 weeks, I've been doing a lot more like 3 minutes on, 2 minutes off at 5K race pace, kilometer repeats, which again, everything's basically like 2 to 3 minutes, either at threshold or miles at threshold or 5K pace. So like, yeah, I think it'll be fine, but I'm second guessing. I'm at the point where I'm second guessing, I guess. That's where I'm at. All right. Brandon said he had a 39-minute threshold run today. Ooh, that's a lot of threshold work. Hot in Boston area again, as hot as Falmouth last weekend. Whew. Yesterday my run was hot. I told you guys about it too. Not as hot as it was in Boston or in Falmouth, but super humid. Today, at least according to my car's thermometer, it was only 2 degrees less hot, but there was very little humidity because giant storms came through last night, and it just made such a world of difference. I mean, also today I was doing an easy run, just running through the park. And I mean, it was a nice, easy run. I was listening to a podcast. I could have kept running all day. I just felt so great. But yeah, yesterday did not feel great. Humidity, it was intense. All right. Let's see. Let's start with the game. Should we try the game? Let's do it. Right. All right. So here's the game. I'm going to show you a shoe and an object that I typically will run with, or sometimes run with, or that a person might run with. And you're going to have to guess which one weighs more. All right, you guys ready? First one. We've got the Turbo, I think it was Turbo Next Percent Nature. I think it's Pegasus Turbo Next Percent Nature versus the iPhone 11 Pro. I'm still on the iPhone 11. So like, which one do you think, and I know like each of these images shows 2 of the object, but we're talking about one shoe versus one phone. Which one do you think weighs more? All right. A lot of votes for the phone. 1 horsepower or 1 hit point says iPhone. Rain Runner says iPhone. Lou Klein says phone. H-Town Runner is going with the shoes on this one. H-Town Runner, look at that down below. Hold on, let's do it this way. Boom. Down below, H-Town Runner. The avatar is just pizza. Love it. Luis says phone. Davin's going with the shoes. Sean Marshall says the pegs. The correct answer is, all right, here we go. Let me fix it. No, this way. There we go. It is the shoes are way heavier. They're 9.59 ounces, at least according to ProDirect. I have to source this stuff, a lot of it not from the website themselves, because I feel like a lot of shoe brands are not listing stack heights, drops, or weights anymore. They don't think it's, I mean, they're just hiding that information now. Or just deciding not to share it with everybody. So I think this is for a size 9. I'm not sure how ProDirect gets their numbers, but according to them, it is significantly heavier than an iPhone. And there's that cable again. So this is my iPhone 11 Pro. It feels a lot heavier than 7.7 ounces. I got to tell you that. It feels heavy, but you know, I'm going to go with the numbers are what the numbers are. And I weighed mine. I got my scale out. I weighed all these things. So, and you'll see it for some of the other ones. Yeah, Abraham Gussain says, no one seems to be liking those natures. Yeah, I mean, I've tried them on at Running Warehouse because I had a pair. I think that might have been Connor's pair. Connor and I are the same shoe size. We're both reference size 9. And it felt okay, but I'm like, I've never run in any of the nature shoes before, but you know, everyone's always like the nature, there's something wrong with it. People suspect that it might be that it's more glue than foam, and that might be the problem, or what. Um, but yeah, Adam says with or without an OtterBox. That 7.7 ounces is with my what brand is this? I think it's a Spigen slim case. I'm not sure. It's one of these silicon ones. Yeah, Spigen slim case. With the case on, 7.7 ounces. All right. H9 Runner says, so is the PEG Turbo heavier than an iPhone Max? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't have an iPhone Max to compare it to, and I don't know what the stated weight is for an iPhone 7 Max. But yeah. And Davin says, I feel like the Nature is more of a style choice than a running shoe. That's how it might end up being because it does look really good. But I don't think that's how it was originally intended. So that's the only problem with that, Yeah. Unfortunately. All right. H9 Runner says the iPhone 7 Max is 7.97 ounces only. Maybe with a case it gets to be over 8 if you've got a thin case on it. But yeah, that's surprising that it's only 8 ounces. All right, let's get to the next one. Something that I also tend to run with is a, there we go, Flip Belt water bottle. Actually, I have it here. It's still right here. It holds, I won't tell you how much it holds. Maybe some of you guys know how much it holds. But if I fill it with water, and I didn't fill it all the way to the top because I filled it to the top of the measurements that are on the side of the bottle. And I filled it with water. How much is that going to weigh compared to Ultra Boost 22? Which one is heavier? Rain Runner's going with the shoe. Sean Marshall's going with the Boost is heavier. Rain Runners goes, Boosts are heavy AF, right? They are heavy shoes. All the Adidas, it's like as great as the Adidas racing shoes have been, and I've been loving Adidas race shoes. I just feel like their regular daily trainers or like their training shoes have just been, I'm not saying that they're bad, but they've been getting heavy. And they just don't seem to care. Just like really, really heavy. Jonathan Crossley thinks that the bottle is heavier. See, this is fun. You guys are like split pretty, not evenly, but there's a good split. Luke Klein says the Boost. Will Gravel says definitely the shoe. Boost is heavy stuff. Runner Will's also going with the shoe. Innes saying shoe. Shannon says Boosts. The correct answer is, let's see, according to Soul Review, the Boost are 11.7 ounces, so I don't have it in grams. And the water bottle, see, I got a picture of the water bottle on my scale, is 11.4 ounces. There is 300 milliliters, or a little bit over 10 ounces of water in this. The bottle itself apparently is about an ounce and a half. So 10 ounces of water in a flip-up water bottle weighs less than an Ultra Boost. I mean, that doesn't feel right, but yeah. When I tell people that like Ultra Boosts are heavy, they're heavy, Devin Patterson wants to know, is it filled or empty? It was filled, yeah. Yeah. Adam wants to know with just water or scratch. That would make a difference because I think that the carbs and all the other things in the water would make it heavier, but this one was just water for this one. H-Town Runner says, is it just me or shoes getting heavier nowadays? Not all shoes. Adidas shoes definitely are. I feel like the Nike shoes are also getting heavier. Other shoes tend to be falling we've messed around with our foam formula, and now it's lighter, but also more cushioned than last year. So we're getting a lot of that. Yeah. 1 HP says, 0 for 2. Yeah, that's funny. Auto VV says, that's a heavy shoe. It is. I don't feel like it needs to be. Anyway, that's me. All right. 1 HP says the knits in the Boost are like a sweat sponge. Yeah. Is it? I'm trying to remember. I reviewed the Ultra Boost 20. I think that was the last Ultra Boost that I looked at. And I'm trying to remember. We lived in Gothenburg, I think, when I was reviewing that shoe. So that would have been in June of that year, 2020. I don't remember being super hot, but knit gets wet. The knit in my, the knit in the Super Comp trainer That shoe, it was a really hot day the last day I wore it. You know, it wasn't 2 days ago. It was a couple days ago. That shoe stayed wet for like a full day. Yeah. But on the other hand, yesterday I ran in the Endorphin Pro 3, and it's got that like super thin, like fishnet, like upper. And maybe it's because I left them in the garage and it was humid in the garage overnight. But I went to go pick them up to bring them inside today, and they were still damp. Like really, not maybe more than just damp. So I left them in the garage still. So I mean, I don't know. It might just be that time of year where things that get wet stay wet. But I do feel like does stay a little bit wet. Stevie 76, there's that word again, heavy. Why are things so heavy in the future? Is there a problem with the Earth's gravitational pull? That's a really obscure Back to the Future reference. I like that. Love it. Love it. Rainrunner says, Robbie from Believe in the Run seems to hate the Magic Speed 2. I'm so curious about it. You know what's funny is both Thomas and Robbie really don't like the Magic Speed 2. And the irony and the strange thing about it is that I love the Magic Speed, I love the Metaspeed Sky Plus, but I don't love the Metaspeed Edge Plus. The Magic Speed 2 is like the Metaspeed Edge Plus, or it's closer of those two. But yet, I really like the Magic Speed 2. Thomas prefers the Metaspeed Edge Plus, but he doesn't like the similar feeling Magic Speed 2. It doesn't make any sense for them or me, but I don't know. Sometimes a shoe works, sometimes a shoe doesn't for a person. So yeah, it's a mystery. I'm not sure. We talked about it a lot in Eugene because we all had them before World Championships, and like we like debated that shoe for a while. I was just like, how does that even make sense? Why do you not like this one? And they're like, I don't know, I just don't. I'm like, what? You got to be more specific. You got to give me more than that. So I'm gonna have to go read their review, see what they said about it. All right. Let's get to the next one. We have, all right, this will be a fun one. Let's see what you guys think is heavier. Hoka Bondi 8 Max Cushion shoe or my GoPro rig. It's my GoPro Hero 10 on this selfie stick. It's like my actual selfie stick. I weighed it together, the two things. Which one do you think weighs more? Adam's coming in quick. First one to respond, he thinks that it's the Bondi 8. That's more. 1HP says the GoPro rig. Sean Marshall also agrees that it's the GoPro rig. Lou Klein and Eliza both say it's the Hoka shoe. It's the Bondi 8. We got a lot of good ones. Rainrunner hedging says I want to say Bondi, but maybe GoPro. And Stevie 76 says my GoPro. Johnny Sharpie says the GoPro. H-Town Runner with the Hoka, and Innes with the GoPro. The correct answer is it's 10.8 ounces for the Bondi 8, and I think I got that from the Hoka website. I'm pretty sure that's where it's from. I didn't write it down. And then 11.4 ounces for the GoPro on the stick. So in case anyone's wondering how much that weighs, it weighs the exact same amount as a flip belt bottle full of water. And then holding it, I mean, I know there's different like densities and lengths, so it feels different. But actually this water bottle feels like it's heavier. But they both ended up being 11.4 ounces. So there you go on that one. There's a surprise. I remember thinking that the Bondi 8 was lighter. As I was looking at these numbers, I remember thinking that the Bondi 8 was lighter than the Ultra Boost, which I think a lot of people would be surprised by. But I'm surprised that it was that different. There we go. So, and it says, keep these coming. I'm better at this than the other quizzes. Innes is typically like an 0 for 3 kind of quiz participant, which that's Eliza today. That's funny. Sean says, I don't like the look of those Bondis. They look like a flotation device. I feel like this year they definitely took a page out of the Bondi X because that looked like a boat to me. Looked like a big Land Cruiser yacht kind of thing. Um, and I think a lot of the sloping curves of the midsole did that. And I think the interesting thing is, I mean, I don't know. I'd love to talk to some of the designers for it in terms of what the thinking was, because like Hoka's been getting a lot of traction in the casual shoe market as having like that chunky dad shoe. Like it looked kind of almost like, like the Bondi Sevens, especially if you did a triple black, it looked like a Herman Munster shoe. And I feel like that was like part of the at least the streetwear appeal of it. And I wonder if like this change was, I mean, I'm feeling that they had to design the Bondi 8 before like they knew if the Bondi 7 was going to get that kind of popularity. But I wonder if in any way it's a sort of reaction to like, well, we don't want to become like the makers of like Air Monarchs or whatever the New Balance one is. We want the Bondi to stay exist as its own shoe, so they're kind of straying away from that. I don't know. That's kind of like my thoughts on it. I'm not sure. Shannon says that the Bondis give off the grandpa vibes. No offense, Bondi wearers. Yeah. And Rain wants to know, what are these bland neutrals? Hoka usually has multiple launch colors or more launch colors than other brands. And then they still do other colors throughout the year, but probably not as many as, say, like Adidas. I feel like when Adidas launches a shoe, they'll have like 3 colors at launch or maybe 2. And then like every 2 months, there's another color. So you just have to keep waiting if you don't like the ones that are out. Sean says, remember those Nerf basketballs, Mike? It looks like those. I'm trying to think. I don't remember Nerf basketball. But, yeah. All right. Let's see if we can get to the next one. All right. I think this will be a fun one. All right. Staying in the max cushion shoe category because like the weights are a little bit bigger. This is a shoe that I haven't run in yet. I tried to order it. Well, I wasn't going to order it today because I told you guys yesterday that I was going to wait on it because I figured I had plenty of time. But then as I was looking for an image to use for this game, I think it was on Road Running Warehouse, where now they're already back ordered and their orders won't ship till September 29th. So now I'm like, oh boy, maybe I screwed up. Maybe I should have ordered this shoe earlier when I had the chance. So here we go. Fresh Foam More version 4 versus 6 Science and Sport gels. And I specifically picked 6 because that's kind of how much I bring. 6 is how many gels I bring for a marathon. I usually don't bring 6 Science and Sport. I usually bring 4 Martins usually and 2 Huma Chia Pluses, but I don't have enough Martins on hand right now for this game. So I picked 6 gels or 1 Fresh Foam More 4. All right, we got some guesses. Ennis coming in with the first response with shoe. Rain Runner says gels. Will's with the shoe. See, it's going back and forth. It's back and forth. Ping pong, ping pong. Sean Marshall says Science and Sport. 1 HP says the gels. Lou Klein with the shoes. Let's do a couple more. Tracy Smith says gels. Davin Patterson says the Science and Sport. Davin, I never realized you had 2 dogs in your picture there. That looks like a fun trail. Is that where? Wait, hold on. Let's see if I get a closer look at that. Is that in the Pacific Northwest? Where is that? That's what I'll do. All right. Rob DiGennaro says shoes. And Catherine Strail Jimena says gels for sure. I love the confidence on that one. All right. Here's the answer. According to Road Trail Run, the Fresh Foam More version 4 is 10.7 ounces lighter than the Bondi. And the weight that I measured for 6 Science and Sport gels was 14.7 ounces. So the shoe is way lighter than 6 of these Science and Sport gels. Now you have to remember, Science and Sport gels are basically are like borderline like liquid in the pack. They're bigger packs. They're 2 ounces each. So 6 of those times 2 ounces plus the packaging. Plus it's not exactly water in there, so it's not going to be the same ounce per ounce volume for weight. But 14.7 ounces. Yeah, but all you guys that said gels, you guys had it right. Yeah, Luke Hines says 14 ounces for 6 gels. Yeah, that's how much it weighed. I mean, yeah, I think the most science in sport I've ever carried at one time was probably like 4. Maybe I've done 4 for like a long run before. Yeah. So H-Town Runner says, are the Martins lighter? I think that they are, because it's a smaller packet. So it's a smaller like volume of material. And then weight wise, it always just feels like they're very, very lightweight. So I haven't measured it out yet though. But yeah, so there it is. Visha Mom says, with triple, I don't know, growly emojis, killed my winning streak. And Davin Patterson says, for the picture of him and the dogs, he says it's northern Washington State in that pic. I live north of Seattle. See, I feel like it kind of looks like in this picture here, some of the woods that Ginger Runner runs in. That's why I kind of look familiar, because I always feel like anytime I see a Ginger Runner video, I feel like he's running on Endor, where the Ewoks lived. So it's always just bizarre to me. Like, it's so mossy and fern-y. There's so many ferns there, So, yeah. That's why it always jumps out at me. All right. Let's see. Otto VV says, is there any gel that gives you an upset stomach? No, but there are some gels where I eat them and I'm just like, I don't feel like I've gotten any sugar. I feel like I've eaten anything. It just feels like a nothing gel. I would say that kind of like the ones that I like the least is probably, like, I had some that are like, they're fine and they're similar to goo. I feel like that's kind of like the baseline, and goos are good. They're fine. But like some, I don't understand like why they're so expensive, like the Spring Energy ones. Like, I feel like I'm eating the kids' applesauce with those, which I think some people appreciate, and that's why they get the Spring. But like, I also don't feel like I'm getting like enough sugar in them, especially for how much they cost. But none of them that I've tried have given me an upset stomach. There's a flavor of Honey Stinger. It's like raspberry ginseng or something like that. That like almost made me throw up because I thought it tasted so bad. It was such a horrible flavor. I don't know if hopefully they don't make it anymore. But none that have like really made my stomach upset. But I feel like, touch wood, knock on wood, I feel like I have a pretty iron gut. So like, things don't really give me a hard time. Typically what will happen though is before I get to the point where a gel can upset my stomach, my body will just stop feeling like it wants to eat gels. So I've had that happen before in races where I'm like, all right, I usually take a gel every 4 miles in a marathon. And I think this happened to me in LA, where I've gotten to the point where I'm like, all right, I'm at another 4-mile marker. I should use a gel. And I'm like, I just don't feel like it. I'm just going to keep going. Maybe I'll take one at the next mile. So that kind of happens. I think for some people, they'll eat the gel at that point anyway, and that might lead to the distress. So like, I don't know. Maybe my lack of appetite prevents me from that from happening to me, but none of that have really bugged me too bad. Yeah, Sean says, all the mukbang Monday training equals iron stomach. I mean, like, that's why I'm like, I really wish I had another ultra on the calendar this year, especially with how awesome like ultras have looked basically all year. I feel like it's been a good year for ultras. I really wish I could participate in one this year too. Just didn't work out training wise on the calendar. Because it's just like, it's like two things that I really enjoy, eating a lot and running a lot. So, I mean, what's not to love? Stevie76 says, my whole life I thought Chewbacca was an Ewok. Wookiee mistake. Sorry. I meant to hit this. Where is it? I totally ruined it. This cable is driving me crazy. I got to get that oxid spray or a new cable. I don't know. All All right. Khalif Ryan says, "Hi, Kofuzi. Been busy for a while, but I'm back. Well, it's good to see you again. Welcome." Raynor says, "I'm still a fan of the humid chia gels. I still have them. I still get them. I like them because that's a gel that has a lot of salt in it. And so I don't want to ever mess around with the salt tabs. And so if it's a race that I know it's going to be a high amount of sweat for the race, like Chicago can sometimes be hot, then I will do like 4 Martins and 2 Humas. Usually I put the Humas up front, so I'm more like salt loading, so that the salt has time to get into the system. So, I mean, that's something that I'll do. Plus they taste good. All right. Let's see. Do I have more? Before that, we got a question here. Ibrahim Gussain says, "What would you say is the best marathon in regards to amenities on the course? Water, Gatorade gels, fruit, etc." I would have to probably say Boston Marathon, or did they do it I think they did it at Berlin too, where Martin gave away Martins. I mean, that's like $2 a pop, right? So, I mean, it's like a lot of people were joking that they were going to start the marathon with 4 gels and then end with 6. Because they were just going to start pocketing them at the end, because that's a pretty nice bonus. Trying to think. I think ultra marathons, in terms of amenities, on-course amenities, that's where you really got in if you get into the trail ultras, because that's when you're talking snacks. You got food, you got chips, gummy bears, candy. I remember when I did the Ragnar trail relay in the Tetons. Like when you got to the top of the mountain, there was just bowls full of candy and like sugary drinks. I stopped for a couple minutes. It was nice and fun. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. So, yeah. All right. Let's see. All right. Hunter Holt says, "Hey, Co, swam, biked, and ran the Chicago Tri this year for the first time." All right. I'm going to try to hit a button and hopefully I won't accidentally hit the cable. Yeah, Hunter, good job. Hit 249, so pretty happy with the result. Really enjoyed your 2021 recap of the Tri. Learned a ton. Hope to see you next year. Yeah, I mean, I know that was this weekend, and part of me was very bummed that I was not participating in it this year. Yeah, I wanted to do more swimming this year, and then because I didn't have a Tri, I wanted to do more swimming before I put a Tri on the calendar. And because I didn't do more swimming, I didn't put a Tri on the calendar. So it became this thing. But I don't want to make it about me. Hunter, great job. That's awesome. Hope you had a really good time with the race. One of my friends from law school, her daughter did the kids Tri. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. Her daughter's younger than my daughter. So I was like, oh, that's super cool. They were in the same swim class. The daughters were in the same swim class too. So I know she's a good swimmer. And her parents, my friends, are runners. So I was like, oh, okay. I could see it. I wonder what bike she did it on. I didn't know. It was really cool. All right. Let's see. It says, "Yes, ultras are my food jam. I love eating ramen and the bacon." I mean, I just feel like eating ramen noodles while running a lot, like through the woods, just seems great. You know why I feel like that's great? Because it makes normal something that I always thought was like super weird growing up. When we were growing up, we didn't do a lot of camping. I think my parents actually really liked camping when they were younger, but me and my sister hated it, and so I think we never went. But like every time we would go camping, my parents would bring like stuff for like the fire, like to cook food, and they would bring pots and pans, and they would make ramen noodles like in the woods. We'd be having like Sapporo Ichiban in the woods, or Noguri in the woods. And I thought it was like the weirdest thing, and I was just like, we're being so weird, guys. Can we just be normal and have like hot dogs and hamburgers? But right now, like the thought of like it being like a cold, like running through the night, it being cold and showing up, and if there were like shinramen at at an ultra, that'd be pretty spectacular. I mean, even if it's Ichiban, that's still pretty good ramen. So, I think that'd be pretty cool. Otto Vivi says, "What shoe would you recommend for a rocky and icy trail run?" I'm probably not a good person to ask for that. One shoe that I've been liking that I feel like has a lot of good grip on it has been I liked the Peregrine 12. I think there's a Peregrine Ice version as well that you can also has holes in it that you could drill in screws if you want to put an extra bite for depending on how icy it is. I think it's a similar outsole pattern, just a little bit grippier. I don't know if the lugs are any deeper. So that could be one to look at. I think that there are multiple Saucony trail shoes that have that same outsole pattern. And by the way, Saucony trail runner Grayson Murphy won, what was it? Like it was like the world champion. She ran for Team USA. Joe Gray came in first for the men, I think, and then Grayson Murphy came in first for the women. So it was a good day for Team USA over the weekend. And then the other shoe that I really liked was I don't really liked is not the right word. The Ultra Trail Agravic that I ran in. That one hurt my ankles, like the sides of my ankles a little bit because it was just a really firm shoe. But the outsole, the lugs were really stiff. And I feel like for a Rocky, that would be good. For icy, I'm not sure. But I felt like for a Rocky, it was really great. So those are some that I would look at. But I'll defer to anyone that spends more time running on. I mean, I run on snow and stuff, but like Rocky Icy Trails is not exactly where I spend a ton of my time. Rain Runner says, camping ramen sounds good. Yeah, it's one of those things when you look back at it as an adult and you didn't know how awesome like your parents were, even if it did make you feel a little bit different. So, yeah. Yeah. All right. Wilfredo says, Ultra 8 stations are fire. I did one back home in Louisiana and we had gumbo and jambalaya. Man, can you imagine that? Like if I ran that, I feel like I would see. I really feel like we got space down here. I feel like I got to get one of those heat presses so I could just make like a shirt real fast. Because I feel like if I was doing a Louisiana trail race that was going to have gumbo and jambalaya, I mean, I'd probably, I know there's sausage in that. That'd be the hard thing, but I would still probably eat it, maybe pick around the sausage. But I'd be like, I'm here for like the shirt should just say, I'm here for the gumbo. I just feel like that's it. That's it. Let's see. Bin Droid says Shinramen with chili oil is a comfort food for sure. For sure. And H-Town Runner says, in my opinion, Jin Ramen is the best Korean ramen. I'll die on that hill. I don't have as much experience with the Jin Ramen. Here's the thing, like, I don't eat that much ramen anymore. And so, like, when I do, I just want to eat Shin Ramen. That's the only one that I want to eat. I don't like the Shin Ramen black either. I don't think it's as good. I feel like, I don't know. I think that they nailed it with the first time with Shin Ramen. That's peak ramen for me, So, but maybe I'll have to try some Shin Ramen next time. We'll do it. Maybe we'll bring that in for a mukbang. Sean Marshall says, hey Mike, do you ever run in that Nick Gray Asics shirt you have? I really like the look, but worry might be hot on a run. I do run in it. It is hot for like a summer run. It's great for like shoulder seasons, like as the seasons change. It's really great. Super comfortable to wear like all day. It's not really a knit shirt, but it kind of looks that way. There's a long sleeve version of that shirt too, which I've seen like online, but never have seen in person. But I'm like, I just love the pattern and the way that shirt looks so much that I might pick it up. But yeah, that gray one is a little bit on the warm side. So I would say like kind of like not as warm as a Tracksmith running shirt, like a t-shirt, but like kind of getting there. All right, let's see if I got any more. I got one more. This one, I think most of you guys will get this one. We'll see. All right, Skechers Performance Speed Elite. Remember that this had like the H plate in it. It's a super lightweight shoe with the Hyperburst, very, very lightweight foam and the almost weigh nothing upper versus two watches that I've been running with for the last 3 weeks and change. The Coros Vertix 2 and an Apple Watch Series 4. Like, which one weighs more? 2 watches or 1 shoe? All right. Sean thinks it's the watches. Rain Runner says, oof, the watch. 1 HP thinks so. A lot of people are guessing the watches so far. 2 watches weigh more than 1 race shoe. H-Town Runner says the watches for sure. Everyone's guessing the watches. Davin Patterson says the watches. Innes says the watches. Luke Klein says the watches. And Eliza is torn, but she says arg watch. And Johnny Sharpie says the watch is right. Ron Will says that Vertex is heavy. I'm going with the watches. And Adam's the only one so far. First one to say the shoe, I think. And Auto VV got him with the shoe, backing him up. So the answer is 5.7 ounces for the Speed Elite, according to Running Shoes Guru, and 4.9 ounces for the 2 watches. So the shoe was actually a little bit heavier. So it's kind of a trick question because I have been complaining so much about how heavy that watch is for like the past 3 weeks. But Raymond says plot twist, they weigh the same. I couldn't find anything that weighed the same. So that's the unfortunate part. But yeah. The watches weren't that heavy, but I just think, watches, they could kind of feel heavy, relatively speaking, especially compared to like I'm wearing the Coros Pace 2 now. So light, so incredibly light compared to either the Apple Watch 4 or the Vertex 2. But yeah, the Vertex is heavy, but that Speed Elite was really light, but still, even then, under 6 ounces is super featherweight, but yeah, still heavier than the 2 watches. All right, we got a quick question here from MJ Nelson. It says, just sprained my ankle 5 weeks out from a 50K race that I've been training for all year long. Not sure what to do. Still swollen, a little tender. What will you do? I would say see how it feels. If you've been training all year long, then you're not trying to cram in training at the last minute. You might have to adjust some of your time expectations if you had any. But I would see so far, focus on getting it better. Some people do the RICE thing, rest, ice, compression, elevation. I'm not sure if that's still like good science anymore. But take it easy on the ankle for a little bit. And then I think I'm not a physical therapist or an orthopedist by any means. But then I think that a lot of people are saying like getting movement into the joint. So encouraging blood flow is a good thing if it's not painful. And then, ease back into it. I would say in terms of easing back into it, err on the side of caution because you'd rather show up onto the starting line with maybe a couple of days less training than you could have squeezed in versus the alternative of not showing up to the starting line at all. So take it easy. See when it is that it starts to feel like you can run on it again. And then reevaluate from there. So right now, I would say it's too early to tell. But yeah, Adam says, see a PT. That's really good advice. Yeah. All right. 1 HP says, the gels, the 14.7 ounces of gels in the Zoom 5 are probably close. Everyone's really ragging on that shoe this year. No one seems to like the Zoom Fly 5. I think they need to figure out what they want to do with it. If I were Nike, I would have updated the Tempo Next percent and not updated the Zoom Fly if I were them. Because it seemed like Tempo Next percent had more fans. Or the other thing that I would have thought about is it seems like the Zoom Fly is becoming more popular with the female distance runners than it is amongst men distance runners, and the Tempo Next percent seems to be the other way around. So depending on what they wanted to do, I don't know what their metrics or their sales numbers actually are, but depending on what they wanted to do with that, then I think they maybe could have made some adjustments to lean into either of those kind of like gender distributions for either of those shoes. But a lot of brands are trying to make like shoes for women kind of thing right now, which is a very delicate, I feel like, area to. It's easy to mess up that kind of push, but Scotcher says, was the Streak Fly a flop? Not the Zoom. We're talking about the Zoom Fly, not the Streak Fly. I feel like the Streak Fly was people loved that shoe. I think that it wasn't quite like the Takumi-sen competitor that people thought it was going to be, but I also feel like it was kind of like popular for the shorter distance runners, the road and also track and field 5 and 10K runners really did appreciate that shoe. Um, and I also feel like for the people that are training for those distances, it was kind of like their Peg Turbo in a lot of ways, I think, where for them, they could use it on a lot of their different workouts and runs throughout the week. Whereas for me, there's not as much use for a streak fly, but for someone that's training different kinds of distances, it could be very useful. So I think I wouldn't say it was a flop. I think it was pretty popular, but again, I don't know what their sales numbers are. So I think that would kind of make the big difference there. All right. I got one more. I got a bonus for today. We talked about all these running shoes and things that I carry during a marathon. Let's talk about after running, after a marathon. We've got a pair of Crocs, or at least one Croc, and a full can of Miller Lite. Which one do you think weighs more? 1HP, while we're getting some answers in, asks, what are you going to run the 5 can? I'm not sure. So I'm thinking either, I was thinking like the Metaspeed Sky Plus would be an easy choice, but I don't think I'm going to do that because it's, I've done a lot of races in that. Raynor says, is it 1 Croc or 2? I think the numbers that I've gotten, I don't own a Croc, so I got some numbers off the internet. I think it's for 1 Croc. At least that's how most shoes are weighed, but I'm not sure. We'll have to discuss. We'll discuss. All right, let's go back to the question. The 5 can. So I'm thinking probably the Takumi-sen, but I'm also like, well, maybe should I run in the Adios Pro 3? Should I run it in the Endorphin Pro 3? I have a couple of different options that I could kind of get a race in another shoe, but I'm probably the Takumi-sen. I just love that shoe so much. All right, Ray Runner thinks the beer is heavier, and this is going with the beer. Most of you guys are going with beer. 1HP, Davin Patterson, Rob DeGennaro, and Sean Marshall says definitely the Miller. All right. Yeah, everyone's saying it's the beer. It's the beer. Scott says it's light, so it's the Croc. Well, Vader says I despise both, so it's a push. Here's the answer that I have. So the answer that I was able to find is that Crocs tend to weigh between 300 and 450 grams, depending on the model, I guess. Then there are very many different models of Croc. And that converts to about 10.5 ounces to 15.8 ounces, which seems wrong because I've held a Croc before. Now, granted, they're my niece and nephew's Crocs, but it's basically all EVA, right? So like it can't be that heavy. So I'm not sure about that weight. We might have to get in a Croc. I might have to buy a Croc to verify. But if we go with 10.5, 8 ounces at the low end, which is where it sounds more right to me, it's going to be lighter than the beer because the beer is 12 ounces, but there's the can, and beer is not pure water, although some would argue because it's a Miller Lite. But 12.9 ounces is what I weighed on the scale for which one is heavier. So for everyone that voted for the Miller Lite, I'm going to say that you're right on that one. Rainer says the Crocs are really comfy, not going to lie. All right. Yeah, there we go. And Davin thinks that the weight is for 2 Crocs. That sounds more right to me because it's just basically like a piece of foam, right? So I don't know. But some of my kids have like native shoes. Or do any of your kids have? I think natives for adults too. And I think I've had a pair of native slides. And those are like a similar type of material. But some of them can get a little bit heavy. But those also have, the ones that are heavier have a rubber outsole. So I don't know. I'm not sure. Yeah, there we go. Eliza says, success, 1 win. There you go. Awesome. All right. Sean Devlin says, I love trash beer. H. Runner says, don't hate me, but I like Miller High Life. Yeah, one time, so I've been playing like, I guess, quiz games like this for a long time. So I remember one time in college, me and a buddy, we played a trivia game where, we were like, what are the taglines for all the beers? Miller High Life, the champagne of beers. So So like it was like we would quiz people. Like we'd be at a party and be like, all right, you get 5 questions, 5 beers. Can you name it? What the taglines are, like original Coors, banquet beer, that kind of thing. So a lot of times people get them wrong. They think they feel really confident. They're like, oh, they know, but no, you actually don't know. Like what's Miller Lights? It says a fine Pilsner beer. See, so it's like it's not taste great, less filling. It's a fine Pilsner beer. That's what it says on the can. So fun stuff. All right, Ben Young says, hey, is the Takumi-sen accommodating a wide flat forefoot? I notice it is cheap in the TME colors. I mean, that may have something to do with the hammer and axe than it does the Takumi-sen 8. Also, Adidas like marks down their shoes like crazy. But accommodating a wide but flat forefoot, I would say it feels like a racing upper to me. Yeah, I don't know that I would call it accommodating. It feels wider than a Nike race shoe would probably feel. Adidas shoes tend to be long for no real understandable reason in my mind. But wide, I don't know that I would call it wide. So that's where I'm on that one. All right. Sean Marshall says, High Life is definitely my cheap beer of choice. There's a lot of High Life to be found in Chicago. That's for sure. Yeah. Let's see. Luke Klein says, my kids wear Crocs, the kid size. And Otto VV says, Crocs are great for a rocky, icy terrain. That's funny. That's so funny. All right. I think that's a good place to end it today, guys. Thanks for humoring me with the game today. What one weighs more? Maybe we'll play that one again. I'm not sure. Maybe we'll do the same items or similar-ish items, but we'll get some different shoes the next time. I'm not sure if this game's got legs, but I had a fun time playing with you guys today. I don't know that Coros Vertex 2 video is going to make it out tomorrow. It's just a beast of a video to put together. So probably won't have a video in the morning, but I will see you again for a live stream, same time as today, 1 p.m. Central Time. Hopefully I'll see you then. In the meantime, be safe out there, everybody. Thanks.